Have you ever wondered what would happen if you could step into a time machine and travel not just years or decades, but an entire billion years into the future? What would you find waiting for you in that impossibly distant tomorrow? Tonight, we're embarking on a journey so vast, so mind-bending, that it challenges everything we think we know about permanence, change, and the very nature of existence itself. If you find these explorations of deep time fascinating, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd consider hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps others discover these mind-expanding journeys through cosmic time. Also, I'd love to know where you're watching from tonight. Drop your location in the comments below. There's something beautifully humbling about contemplating the far future while we're all scattered across this small planet, sharing the same moment in cosmic history. Before we dive into this incredible voyage, let me give you some perspective on just how vast a billion years really is. If you compress the entire history of Earth into a single year, complex life, everything from the first fish to dinosaurs to human civilization, would only appear in the last few months. A billion years ago, the most sophisticated life on our planet consisted of simple bacteria and primitive algae. There were no animals, no plants, no forests, no consciousness to contemplate the universe. The very air we breathe was still being crafted by ancient microorganisms. Now we're asking, what happens in the next billion years? We're peering across a chasm of time so enormous that it dwarfs the entire evolutionary journey from microbes to minds. And what we discover will challenge every assumption you have about the future of our world, our solar system, and reality itself. The first thing that would strike you about Earth in this billion-year future is something you'd notice immediately: the sky. That familiar blue dome that has stretched above every human who ever lived would be gone, replaced by something alien and harsh. The sun, our faithful companion for over 4 billion years, will have been slowly but steadily growing brighter throughout its life. This isn't a sudden change, but a gradual transformation written into the physics of stellar evolution itself. As hydrogen fuses into helium in the sun's core, our star becomes more luminous, more energetic, more intense with each passing million years. After a billion years of this slow brightening, the sun will be roughly 10% more powerful than it is today. 10% might not sound dramatic, but in the delicate balance that sustains life on Earth, this increase is absolutely catastrophic. Picture yourself standing on that future Earth, looking up at a sky that would be unrecognizable to any human eye. Instead of the gentle blue we've known throughout our species' existence, you'd see a harsh, brilliant dome of superheated steam and vapor. The additional solar energy will have triggered a runaway greenhouse effect that fundamentally transforms our world. The oceans, those vast blue expanses that have defined Earth for billions of years, will begin their final chapter. The extra heat will cause them to boil away into space, molecule by molecule, in a process both gradual and inexorable. Imagine the water cycle that has shaped weather patterns, carved landscapes, and sustained life simply breaking down completely. Rivers will have long since evaporated into memory. Lakes will exist only as dried salt flats and empty basins. The polar ice caps will be nothing but ancient history. But the story of water's departure is more complex and fascinating than simple evaporation. As temperatures rise and the atmosphere fills with water vapor, something remarkable happens in the upper reaches of our sky. Water vapor rises high into the atmosphere, where the sun's ultraviolet radiation breaks it apart into its component elements, hydrogen and oxygen. The lightweight hydrogen escapes to space, lost forever to the cosmic void, while the heavier oxygen remains behind. Earth's atmosphere will become incredibly oxygen-rich, creating conditions unlike anything in our planet's history. This oxygen-rich atmosphere will have profound effects on the remaining geology. Rocks will oxidize at accelerated rates, rusting away under the intense chemical activity. The familiar colors of our landscapes will shift toward brilliant reds and oranges as iron compounds react with the abundant oxygen. The very ground beneath your feet will tell the story of water's departure through its transformed chemistry. Yet even as the familiar earth disappears, new forms of beauty will emerge from this transformation. Without water to moderate temperatures and create familiar weather patterns, our planet's surface will become a realm of incredible extremes. Dayside temperatures may soar to hundreds of degrees, while regions facing away from the sun could remain relatively cooler, creating temperature gradients that drive winds of unimaginable power across the barren landscape. The moon, our ancient companion that has watched over Earth since before life began, will still hang in that transformed sky, but it too will have changed. Over the course of 1 billion years, the gradual recession of the moon will have continued its patient dance. Each year, our satellite moves about 3.8 centimeters farther from Earth as tidal interactions slowly transfer rotational energy between the two bodies. After 1 billion years of this process, the moon will appear noticeably smaller in the sky, and its gravitational influence will have weakened considerably. This changing relationship between Earth and Moon will have affected our planet's rotation in ways that ripple through every aspect of its behavior. Earth's day will have grown longer, perhaps lasting 30 or even 40 hours instead of our familiar 24. This slower rotation will create entirely different patterns of atmospheric circulation, different rhythms of heating and cooling, and different ways that energy moves around the planet. The very heartbeat of our world will have changed, creating new dances of wind and temperature that follow rhythms unknown to any previous epoch in Earth's history. But here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. What about life itself? Could anything survive this dramatic transformation of our world? The answer reveals something remarkable about biology's incredible tenacity and adaptability. While complex surface life will have long since vanished, certain forms of life might persist in the most unexpected places. Deep underground, in caves and rock formations far from the surface heat, communities of extremophile bacteria and archaea might continue to thrive. These organisms, which live in conditions we would consider absolutely impossible, represent life's last stand on a transforming world. These underground ecosystems will have had hundreds of millions of years to evolve in complete isolation from the surface world. Cut off from sunlight and depending entirely on chemical energy from rock interactions, radioactive decay, and geothermal processes, they might have developed into forms we can barely imagine. They could represent an entirely new branch of life's tree, as different from current organisms as we are from the earliest bacteria that first learned to harness the sun's energy. The geological story of this future Earth is equally captivating. Without water to drive erosion and weathering in familiar ways, the processes that shape landscapes will operate according to entirely new rules. Wind erosion will continue, But without the moderating effects of vegetation and moisture, it will carve the land in ways we've never seen. Ancient mountain ranges will be slowly ground down grain by grain, while new formations created by thermal expansion and contraction emerge from the transformed surface. Volcanic activity will continue, possibly intensified by the changing thermal conditions throughout the planet's interior. These volcanoes will release gases and minerals into the atmosphere, contributing to our world's evolving chemistry in ways that create feedback loops we can barely predict. The dance between geology and atmosphere that has operated throughout Earth's history will continue, but according to new rules written by the absence of water and the presence of that oxygen-rich sky. The polar regions, once defined by ice and snow, will become landscapes of exposed rock and ancient sediments, creating a kind of museum where the geological record of Earth's watery past lies open like pages in a vast stone book. Future visitors, if any exist, could read the story of vanished oceans and long dry rivers in the stratified rocks, discovering the tale of a world that once was blue and alive with the sound of waves and rainfall. These geological archives will preserve not just the physical evidence of water, but chemical signatures that tell the story of ancient life, fossilized in minerals and rock formations that serve as time capsules from Earth's biological age. Yet even as we contemplate this transformed Earth, we must remember that 1 billion years provides ample time for surprises we cannot anticipate. The history of our planet has been punctuated by unexpected events that reshaped everything. Asteroid impacts that ended entire eras, supervolcanic eruptions that altered global climate, and changes in solar output that triggered ice ages and warming periods. Similar unpredictable events could alter the trajectory we've described in ways that would completely rewrite the story. A large asteroid impact could temporarily cool the planet by throwing dust and debris into the atmosphere. Massive volcanic eruptions could change atmospheric chemistry in unexpected directions. Even the effects of nearby stellar events, like supernovae or gamma-ray bursts, could influence our planet's evolution in ways we're only beginning to understand. There's something both humbling and beautiful about contemplating these vast timescales. They remind us that change truly is the only constant, that even the most permanent-seeming features of our world are temporary arrangements in the long cosmic dance of matter and energy. The mountains we consider eternal will be worn away. The oceans we think of as everlasting will boil into space. Yet from these transformations, new forms of order and beauty will emerge, following patterns we can barely glimpse from our current perspective. As we continue our journey through this billion-year future, we'll explore what happens beyond Earth to our solar system, to the stars themselves, and to the very fabric of space and time. We'll discover how the story of our transformed planet fits into the larger narrative of cosmic evolution, and we'll contemplate what it all means for consciousness, for meaning, and for the possibility of life itself in a universe that never stops changing. But for now, as you contemplate these vast transformations, remember that you are part of this story. Every breath you take connects you to the atmosphere that will one day escape to space. Every step you take touches ground that will one day be transformed beyond recognition. You exist in a brief, beautiful moment in the long history of change, a conscious observer in the ongoing dance of matter and energy that we call existence. The billion-year future awaits us, vast and strange and wonderful, and we've only just begun to explore its mysteries. Beyond our transformed Earth, the solar system itself will have undergone changes that would render it nearly unrecognizable to eyes accustomed to our current cosmic neighborhood. The intricate dance of planets that has maintained its rhythm for billions of years will continue, but with subtle variations that accumulate into profound differences across such vast timescales. Mars, that rust-colored world we've dreamed of visiting, will have evolved along its own quiet trajectory. Without the moderating influence of a thick atmosphere or abundant water, Mars changes slowly, but change it does. The planet's already thin atmosphere will have continued its gradual escape to space, molecule by molecule, year after year, like a slow-motion exhalation that never ends. After 1 billion years of this patient exodus, Mars will be even more airless than it is today, its surface pressure dropping to levels that make our current Martian atmosphere seem thick by comparison. The polar ice caps, those seasonal deposits of frozen carbon dioxide and water that grow and shrink with Martian seasons, will have undergone countless cycles of expansion and retreat. But the overall trend will be toward diminishment as the planet's already tenuous grip on its atmosphere weakens further. The great dust storms that occasionally engulf the entire planet will become increasingly rare. Not because the winds have calmed, but because there's simply less atmosphere left to carry the dust particles that once painted the sky in shades of ochre and gold. Yet Mars holds secrets that 1 billion years will slowly unveil. Deep beneath its surface, in caverns and rock formations we've never imagined, geological processes will continue that might surprise us. The planet's core, still warm from its formation, and the ongoing decay of radioactive elements will continue to drive subtle but persistent geological activity. Occasional volcanic eruptions might still punctuate the Martian silence, releasing gases that briefly thicken the atmosphere before they too escape to the cosmic void. These eruptions will serve as temporary reminders of the geological forces that once made Mars a more dynamic world, before its small size doomed it to lose the atmospheric blanket that might have sustained a more Earth-like environment. Jupiter, that massive guardian of the outer solar system, will maintain its stately presence as the solar system's undisputed heavyweight champion. But even this giant will show signs of deep time's passage in ways both subtle and dramatic. The Great Red Spot, that storm larger than Earth itself that has raged for centuries, may finally dissipate after enduring far longer than human civilization. New storms will form and fade across Jupiter's banded surface, each lasting for time spans that dwarf entire human civilizations, yet appearing as mere moments in Jupiter's billion-year story. The planet's complex atmospheric dynamics will continue creating weather patterns of unimaginable scale and duration, with wind systems that circle the globe at speeds that make terrestrial hurricanes seem like gentle breezes. The moons of Jupiter will continue their intricate orbital dance, but tidal forces will have subtly reshaped their paths over such vast timescales. Europa's icy surface will have been renewed countless times as its subsurface ocean continues to interact with the rocky core below, driven by the constant kneading of Jupiter's immense gravitational field. If life exists in those dark, hidden waters beneath Europa's frozen shell, it will have had 1 billion years to evolve in complete isolation from the rest of the solar system. Cut off from sunlight and depending on chemical energy from hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, this alien biology might have developed into forms as different from Earth life as we are from the simplest bacteria. Io, Jupiter's volcanic moon, will have exhausted more of its internal heat over our billion-year span. Though sulfur volcanoes may still paint its surface in brilliant yellows and oranges, the constant gravitational kneading from Jupiter will continue, but perhaps less vigorously, as the entire system slowly loses energy to gravitational waves and tidal friction. Processes so gradual, they're barely detectable over human timescales, but significant across cosmic ages. Saturn presents one of the most poignant stories of our billion-year future. Those magnificent rings that have captivated human imagination since Galileo first glimpsed them through his primitive telescope are not permanent fixtures of the solar system. They're temporary decorations in cosmic terms, and their days are numbered. Current scientific estimates suggest Saturn's rings formed relatively recently in astronomical terms, perhaps only a few 100 million years ago, and they won't last forever. Over the course of our billion-year journey, Saturn's rings will gradually spiral inward, consumed by the planet's gravity and magnetic field through a process that's slow but utterly inexorable. Ring particles constantly collide and lose energy, causing them to drift slowly towards Saturn like leaves falling in an endless autumn. Some will be absorbed by the planet's dense atmosphere, while others will be swept up by the many small moons that orbit within the ring system, acting like cosmic vacuum cleaners collecting the debris of this celestial spectacle. Future observers looking at Saturn in our billion-year destination might see only faint remnants of the spectacular ring system we know today. Perhaps a few tenuous bands will remain, ghostly echoes of former glory. Or maybe the rings will have vanished entirely, leaving Saturn as just another gas giant without its distinctive crown, a thought that carries a strange melancholy. Like imagining a future where no one remembers the sound of music. But Saturn may compensate for this loss with new wonders we can't yet anticipate. Its moon Titan, with its thick atmosphere and lakes of liquid methane, will continue evolving its own unique chemistry. The complex interplay between Titan's atmosphere, surface, and subsurface ocean creates a system that could surprise us with developments we can barely imagine across such vast timescales. The seasonal cycles that drive weather patterns on Titan, where methane plays the role that water plays on Earth, will have repeated nearly 40 million times during our billion-year span. Each cycle will have contributed to the gradual evolution of Titan's surface features, its atmospheric composition, and the chemical processes that make this moon one of the most fascinating worlds in our solar system. Uranus and Neptune, those distant ice giants maintaining their lonely vigil at the edge of our solar system, will have shifted slightly in their orbits due to gravitational interactions with other planets and the occasional passing star. These changes will be subtle, measured in millions of kilometers over our billion-year time span. But they represent real evolution in the architecture of our cosmic neighborhood. What's more interesting is how their internal heat sources will have evolved. Both planets radiate more energy than they receive from the sun, and this internal warmth will continue driving weather patterns and atmospheric dynamics across our entire billion-year span. The source of this excess heat, whether from ongoing gravitational compression, radioactive decay, or some other process, will have had a billion years to evolve and change. The Kuiper Belt, that vast collection of icy bodies beyond Neptune's orbit, will have been sculpted by countless gravitational encounters over our journey through deep time. Some objects will have been scattered inward toward the sun, creating spectacular comets that briefly illuminate the inner solar system with their glowing tails before fading back into darkness. Others will have been flung outward into the even more distant Oort cloud, or lost to interstellar space entirely, becoming rogue objects wandering between the stars. The gravitational influence of passing stars will have stirred this distant reservoir of icy debris, occasionally sending showers of comets toward the inner planets in episodes of bombardment that punctuate the long, quiet periods with brief cosmic violence. Perhaps most remarkably, our solar system will have encountered other stars during its billion-year journey around the galaxy. The Sun, along with all its planets, completes an orbit around the center of the Milky Way, roughly once every 225 million years. In our billion-year future, we will have completed more than 4 full galactic orbits, passing through different regions of space and encountering different stellar neighborhoods. During these cosmic travels, other stars will have approached our solar system, some coming close enough to perturb the orbits of comets in the Oort cloud, or even affect the trajectories of the outer planets. These stellar encounters, while rare, could dramatically reshape the architecture of our solar system in ways both subtle and profound. A close pass by another star might scatter comets throughout the inner system, creating a prolonged period of bombardment that briefly returns the solar system to conditions not seen since its violent youth. Alternatively, such an encounter might strip away some of our system's most distant objects, stealing them into interstellar space and leaving our solar system slightly diminished but still intact. The Sun itself will continue its own steady evolution throughout this cosmic journey. As we've seen with Earth's changing climate, the Sun's gradual brightening will affect all the planets in ways both predictable and surprising. Mars might experience a brief renaissance as increased solar heating could theoretically release gases from its polar caps and subsurface reservoirs, creating a temporary thickening of its atmosphere. This Martian warming might create conditions not seen since the planet's ancient past, when flowing water carved the channels and valleys we see today. But this renaissance, if it occurs, would be brief in cosmic terms, lasting perhaps only a few million years before the released gases escape to space once again. Venus, already the hottest planet in our solar system due to its runaway greenhouse effect, will become even more extreme as the enhanced solar output drives its atmospheric furnace to new heights of intensity. The thick carbon dioxide atmosphere that creates surface temperatures hot enough to melt lead will become even more efficient at trapping heat, pushing surface conditions toward levels that challenge our understanding of planetary atmospheres. The solar wind, that constant stream of charged particles flowing outward from our star, will intensify as the Sun's energy output increases. This enhanced solar wind will gradually strip away more of the planetary atmospheres, affecting the magnetic fields of worlds throughout the system and creating aurora displays of unprecedented beauty and intensity on planets that still retain significant magnetic fields. Throughout all these changes, the fundamental physics that governs our solar system will remain constant. Gravity will continue to orchestrate the dance of worlds according to Newton's laws and Einstein's refinements. Electromagnetic forces will shape planetary magnetospheres and guide the behavior of charged particles. Thermodynamics will drive the flow of energy from hot regions to cold ones, creating the temperature gradients that power weather systems and geological processes. Yet within these unchanging laws, endless variations will play out over our billion-year span, creating new configurations, new relationships, and new possibilities for beauty and complexity. The solar system is not a static mechanism wound up at the beginning of time, but a living, evolving entity that will continue surprising us with new developments even across the vast spans of deep time. As we contemplate this transformed solar system of our billion-year future, we begin to appreciate the true nature of cosmic time and the persistence of change within apparent stability. What seems permanent to us, the familiar arrangement of planets and moons we see in our night sky, is actually just a momentary configuration in an endless dance of gravitational interactions that will continue long after our sun itself begins its final transformation into a red giant star. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter will continue its own slow evolution, with collisions gradually grinding large asteroids into smaller fragments. Some of these fragments will eventually spiral inward toward the sun, while others will be captured by planetary gravity or flung outward by gravitational slingshot effects. The belt will become more diffuse over time, though it will never disappear entirely, serving as a permanent reminder of the solar system's violent youth when planetary formation was still in progress. The fundamental architecture of our cosmic neighborhood will persist, even as its details transform beyond recognition. The sun will still shine, though more brightly. Planets will still orbit, though along slightly different paths. The basic structure that has defined our solar system for over 4 billion years will continue, adapting to new conditions while maintaining the gravitational relationships that have made our cosmic home a stable, predictable environment for the emergence and evolution of complexity. This persistence within change, this continuity within transformation, hints at something profound about the nature of existence itself. Even as we prepare to explore what lies beyond our solar system in this billion-year future, we carry with us the understanding that change and permanence are not opposites, but partners in a cosmic dance that connects every moment to eternity. As we venture beyond our transformed solar system into the vast stellar neighborhood, we encounter changes so profound they challenge our understanding of permanence itself. The stars that have served as humanity's celestial compass for millennia will have undergone their own dramatic transformations across this billion-year odyssey. The constellation patterns that have remained relatively stable throughout human history will have shifted dramatically. Stars move through space at different velocities, and over 1 billion years, these proper motions accumulate into visible changes that would leave ancient astronomers completely lost. The Big Dipper will no longer resemble a ladle. Orion's distinctive belt will have scattered across the sky. The Southern Cross will have drifted into entirely new configurations. Future stargazers, if they exist, will navigate by stellar patterns we cannot imagine. Their night sky a completely different tapestry, painted with the same stars arranged in alien geometries. This cosmic reshuffling reminds us that even the most seemingly eternal features of our universe are simply temporary arrangements in an endless dance of motion and time. But the changes run far deeper than mere stellar rearrangement. Many of the stars visible in our current night sky will have completed their entire life cycles during our billion-year journey. The massive blue giants, those spectacular but short-lived stellar torches, will have long since exhausted their nuclear fuel and died in supernova explosions of unimaginable violence. These cosmic detonations will have scattered heavy elements throughout space, seeding future generations of stars and planets with the materials necessary for complexity and perhaps life itself. the iron in some future world's core, the oxygen in its atmosphere, the carbon in its hypothetical biology. All of these elements might trace their origins to stellar deaths that occurred during our billion-year span. Some of these stellar explosions will have occurred close enough to affect our solar system directly. A supernova within 50 light years could strip away portions of planetary atmospheres or trigger climate changes even on our already transformed Earth. The radiation from such explosions might create brief but spectacular aurora displays, visible across the entire solar system, painting space itself in colors we've never witnessed. Other stars will have evolved more gradually along pathways determined by their initial mass. Sun-like stars throughout our galactic neighborhood will have swollen into red giants before shedding their outer layers and collapsing into white dwarfs. These stellar remnants, incredibly dense cores, no larger than Earth, but containing the mass of an entire star, will dot our region of space like cosmic lighthouses, slowly cooling over timescales that dwarf even our billion-year journey. The galaxy itself will have rotated during our deep time voyage, carrying our solar system through different regions of space like passengers on a cosmic carousel. We will have passed through spiral arms, those regions of enhanced star formation, where massive young stars illuminate vast clouds of gas and dust with their brilliant radiation. During these passages through galactic spiral arms, our night sky will have blazed with stellar nurseries of extraordinary beauty. These star-forming regions create nebulae that glow with colors spanning the entire spectrum, from deep reds of hydrogen emission to brilliant blues of hot stellar winds. The increased radiation environment during spiral arm transits will have influenced atmospheric chemistry throughout our solar system, creating temporary changes in planetary conditions that last for millions of years. Between these spiral arms, our solar system will have traversed quieter regions of space, cosmic suburbs where stars are more widely separated, and the interstellar medium is thinner and calmer. These periods offer respite from the intense radiation environments of active star-forming regions, allowing planetary atmospheres and magnetic fields to recover and evolve according to more gradual processes. The Milky Way itself will be preparing for its own grand transformation during this epoch. Our galaxy is currently on a collision course with the Andromeda Galaxy, and while this cosmic merger won't begin in earnest for another 4 billion years, the gravitational effects will become increasingly noticeable during our billion-year timeframe. Tidal forces between the two galaxies will begin distorting their spiral structures, creating streams of stars and gas that stretch across hundreds of thousands of light years. These tidal streams will paint graceful arcs across the sky, visible evidence of the gravitational dance that will eventually reshape our entire cosmic neighborhood. This approaching merger will affect star formation rates throughout both galaxies. Gas clouds compressed by gravitational interactions will collapse more readily, triggering bursts of stellar birth that temporarily increase the rate at which new stars illuminate the cosmic landscape. The chemical enrichment of the interstellar medium will accelerate as more massive stars live and die in rapid succession. The supermassive black holes at the centers of both galaxies will have grown through the accretion of gas and dust, and possibly through the consumption of smaller black holes that spiral inward due to gravitational wave radiation. As these central monsters grow, their gravitational influence will extend further into their host galaxies, affecting the orbits of star systems and the distribution of matter throughout the galactic structure. Perhaps most remarkably, the fabric of space-time itself will be rippling with gravitational waves, those distortions in the geometry of reality created by accelerating masses. Over 1 billion years, these waves will carry away energy from orbiting systems throughout the galaxy, causing binary stars to spiral inward and eventually merge in spectacular displays of gravitational radiation. Some of these mergers will involve neutron stars, those incredibly dense stellar remnants where a teaspoon of matter would weigh as much as a mountain. When neutron stars collide, they create kilonova explosions that forge heavy elements like gold and platinum, scattering these precious materials throughout space in cosmic alchemy laboratories. The universe will have experienced thousands of such events during our billion-year span, gradually enriching the interstellar medium with the building blocks of complexity. Each collision adds new chapters to the cosmic story of how simple hydrogen and helium from the Big Bang gradually transformed into the rich chemical tapestry that makes planets, atmospheres, and potentially life possible. Black holes throughout our galactic region will continue their patient consumption of surrounding matter. Some will have grown substantially by feeding on gas, dust, and occasional stellar companions. Others will remain quiescent, invisible except for their gravitational influence on nearby objects, like cosmic puppeteers manipulating the dance of stars from the shadows. The interstellar medium itself, that thin soup of gas and dust between the stars, will have been stirred and mixed by stellar winds, supernova explosions, and our solar system's passage through different galactic regions. New chemical combinations will have formed in the cold darkness of space, creating complex organic molecules that drift through the void like seeds waiting for the right conditions to flourish. These interstellar molecules represent a form of cosmic evolution that parallels biological evolution. Over vast timescales, simple molecules combine to form more complex structures through processes driven by radiation, magnetic fields, and the occasional shockwave from stellar explosions. The chemistry of space itself becomes a laboratory for complexity. The cosmic web, that vast network of dark matter filaments connecting galaxy clusters across the observable universe, will have continued its own slow evolution. Structure formation will have proceeded on the larger scales, with galaxy clusters growing through mergers while the voids between them expand and empty. Our local group's position within this cosmic architecture will have shifted, changing our perspective on distant galaxy clusters and altering the gravitational influences that shape our motion through space. We are not just passengers in our solar system's journey around the galaxy, but participants in the galaxy's own motion through the larger cosmic structure. Gravitational lensing effects will have become more pronounced as massive structures continue to grow and merge. Galaxy clusters will bend and distort light from more distant objects with increasing strength, creating Einstein rings and multiple images that reveal the distribution of both ordinary and dark matter on cosmic scales. The expansion of the universe itself will have continued its acceleration under the influence of dark energy, that mysterious component that comprises nearly 70% of the cosmic energy budget. This acceleration will have gradually increased the distances between galaxy clusters while having minimal effect on gravitationally bound systems like our local group. Throughout all these cosmic transformations, the speed of light will continue to define the maximum rate of information transfer, creating a natural rhythm in how quickly changes can propagate through space. This fundamental limit ensures that cosmic evolution proceeds at a stately pace, with cause and effect relationships that unfold over millions and billions of years. The story of our billion-year future reveals itself as a meditation on the nature of time itself. We discover that cosmic evolution operates on multiple scales simultaneously, from the rapid nuclear processes in stellar cores that last mere seconds, to the slow drift of galaxies that takes billions of years to become noticeable. Each scale of time contributes its own chapter to the larger story of cosmic change. Stellar explosions that occur in seconds influence galactic chemical evolution over billions of years. Planetary formations that take millions of years create the conditions for biological evolution that might last billions of years. Galaxy mergers that unfold over billions of years set the stage for cosmic structure formation that continues for trillions of years. As we prepare to explore what these vast transformations mean for the possibility of consciousness and meaning in our billion-year future, we carry with us the understanding that change is not something that happens to the universe. Change is what the universe is. Every moment brings new configurations, new possibilities, new expressions of the creative potential inherent in the fundamental laws of nature. The billion-year future is not a destination, but a continuing journey, an ongoing exploration of what becomes possible when matter, energy, space, and time dance together across scales that challenge human comprehension. In this transformed cosmos, we glimpse something profound about the nature of existence itself. That the universe is not a static stage upon which events unfold, but a dynamic, creative process that continuously explores new possibilities for organization, complexity, and perhaps even forms of awareness we cannot yet imagine. The electromagnetic environment of our cosmic neighborhood will have evolved into configurations of staggering complexity over our billion-year journey. The magnetic fields threading through interstellar space will have been shaped by countless stellar winds, supernova explosions, and the passage of our solar system through different galactic regions. These interstellar magnetic fields create invisible highways for charged particles, guiding cosmic rays across vast distances and influencing everything from star formation to planetary atmospheric evolution. After 1 billion years of evolution, these magnetic structures will have grown into architectures that dwarf any human construction, creating patterns of organization that span light years while remaining completely invisible to human eyes. The radio waves generated by cosmic phenomena throughout our galactic neighborhood will have been traveling through space for our entire billion-year journey. Some signals originating from events we cannot yet imagine will just be reaching our solar system as we arrive at this distant future, carrying information about stellar births, planetary formations, and magnetic field interactions across cosmic distances. This creates a kind of electromagnetic archaeology, where radio telescopes of the future could potentially reconstruct the history of our galactic region by analyzing signals that have been traveling through space for hundreds of millions of years. Each electromagnetic wave becomes a time capsule, preserving information about the cosmic conditions that existed when it began its journey. The boundary between our solar system and interstellar space will have fluctuated dramatically over our billion-year span. This boundary, called the heliopause, marks the edge of our sun's influence, where the solar wind meets the interstellar medium. As our solar system travels through regions of space with different densities and magnetic properties, this boundary will expand and contract like a cosmic breathing pattern. During passages through dense molecular clouds, the increased pressure from interstellar material will compress our solar wind bubble. potentially allowing foreign particles to penetrate deeper into our planetary system than ever before in its history. These encounters with different interstellar environments will leave their signatures in the geological records of every world, creating chemical fingerprints that tell the story of our cosmic travels. The quantum vacuum itself will have participated in cosmic evolution through processes that operate on scales ranging from subatomic to astronomical. Virtual particle pairs created by quantum fluctuations will have had subtle but measurable effects on electromagnetic field configurations throughout space, accumulating over billion-year timescales into modifications of how light and radiation propagate through different regions of the universe. As we stand at this threshold between the familiar and the unimaginable, between the known and the unknowable, we begin to understand that our billion-year journey has revealed something fundamental about the nature of existence itself. The universe is not a collection of separate objects floating in empty space, but a unified system where everything influences everything else through networks of physical relationship that span the entire observable cosmos. The story continues to unfold, carrying us deeper into mysteries that challenge every assumption about what it means to exist in a universe where time itself becomes our vessel and transformation our only constant companion. We are witnesses to the ongoing creative process that connects every particle to every galaxy in one magnificent, ever-unfolding symphony of cosmic evolution. The dance of charged particles around magnetic field lines will have created standing wave patterns in the space between worlds, invisible architectures of electromagnetic energy that persist for thousands of years before gradually dissipating. These structures, detectable only through their radio emissions, will form and dissolve like cosmic weather systems, their patterns influenced by the changing magnetic properties of planets and the varying intensity of solar wind. Throughout this electromagnetic symphony, something even more profound will be taking shape in the quantum depths of reality itself. The vacuum of space, once thought to be empty, will have revealed its true nature as a seething ocean of possibility, where virtual particles pop into existence and vanish in time frames so brief they exist only in mathematical abstractions. Yet over our billion-year span, these quantum fluctuations will have accumulated into measurable effects that influence the propagation of light and the behavior of electromagnetic fields across cosmic distances. The very fabric of space-time will bear the accumulated signatures of countless quantum events, creating subtle but persistent modifications in how reality operates at its most fundamental level. The gravitational environment throughout our cosmic neighborhood will have been sculpted by forces operating on scales that dwarf human comprehension. Gravitational waves, those ripples in space-time itself created by the acceleration of massive objects, will have been washing through our region of space like invisible tsunamis, carrying energy and information about cosmic catastrophes occurring throughout the galaxy. Black hole mergers, neutron-star collisions, and other extreme gravitational events will have sent these waves cascading through the universe, each one carrying the signature of the violent processes that created it. Over 1 billion years, the accumulated effect of these gravitational waves will have subtly altered orbital mechanics throughout our solar system, creating changes so small they're undetectable over human timescales, but significant across cosmic ages. The dark matter that comprises most of our galaxy's mass will have continued its patient influence on cosmic evolution, invisible yet undeniably present through its gravitational effects. The dark matter halo surrounding our galaxy will have been stirred and mixed by gravitational interactions with neighboring galaxies and the infall of smaller dark matter structures from the cosmic web. Our solar system's journey through different regions of this dark matter distribution will have created subtle variations in gravitational fields that influence everything from comet trajectories in the Oort cloud to the precise timing of planetary rotations. These effects operate so slowly that they become apparent only when viewed across the vast timescales of our billion-year journey. The local group of galaxies, that gravitationally bound collection including our Milky Way and the approaching Andromeda galaxy, will have begun showing clear signs of the impending merger still billions of years in our future. Tidal streams of stars stripped from smaller satellite galaxies will paint graceful arcs across the sky, visible evidence of the gravitational choreography that will eventually reshape our entire cosmic neighborhood. These tidal effects will have begun influencing star formation patterns throughout both galaxies, as gas clouds compressed by gravitational interactions collapse more readily into new stellar nurseries. The chemical enrichment of the interstellar medium will accelerate as more massive stars live and die in rapid succession, seeding space with heavy elements that serve blocks for us the building future planetary systems. The cosmic microwave background radiation, that ancient afterglow of the Big Bang, will have been subtly modified by its passage through all the matter and energy it has encountered during our billion-year span. These tiny, the large-scale structure of the universe and modifications create additional layers of information about how it has evolved since the era when atoms first formed in the cooling cosmos. Secondary temperature fluctuations created by the gravitational influence of galaxy clusters and cosmic voids will have added new patterns to this primordial light, encoding information about structure formation that spans the entire observable universe. Future cosmologists, if they exist, might read these patterns like a cosmic history book written in the language of electromagnetic radiation. The expansion of space itself will have continued its mysterious acceleration under the influence of dark energy, that enigmatic component that makes up nearly 70% of the universe's total energy content. This acceleration will have gradually increased the distances between galaxy clusters while leaving gravitationally bound systems, like our local group, largely unaffected. The cosmic horizon, that boundary beyond which we can never see due to the finite age of the universe and its ongoing expansion, will have receded slightly during our journey, revealing cosmic structures that were previously beyond our observational reach. New galaxies will have come into view, while others disappear beyond the edge of the observable universe, carried away by the accelerating expansion of space. Primordial black holes, if they exist as hypothetical remnants from the early universe, will have continued their slow evaporation through Hawking radiation during our billion-year odyssey. The smallest of these ancient objects would have completed their evaporation in spectacular bursts of gamma radiation that briefly outshine entire galaxies before vanishing forever, leaving only the memory of their existence encoded in the cosmic background radiation. The neutrino background, those nearly massless particles created in the Big Bang and stellar processes throughout cosmic history, will have evolved its own subtle structure during our journey. Neutrinos created by stellar nuclear synthesis during our billion-year span will have joined the primordial neutrino background, creating slight variations in neutrino density that mirror the large-scale structure of the universe itself. Magnetic fields on cosmic scales will have been amplified and structured by the motion of ionized gas in galaxy clusters and the intergalactic medium. These fields, while incredibly weak by terrestrial standards, will have grown to encompass entire clusters of galaxies, influencing the behavior of cosmic rays and the propagation of electromagnetic radiation across unprecedented scales. The metallicity of the universe, the abundance of elements heavier than hydrogen and helium, will have increased throughout our billion-year journey as successive generations of stars forge heavy elements in their cores and scatter them through space via stellar winds and supernova explosions. This gradual chemical enrichment will have enabled new types of planetary systems to form, with rocky worlds containing the complex chemistry necessary for processes we cannot yet imagine. The interplay between all these cosmic processes creates emergent phenomena that operate on scales and timescales that challenge human comprehension. Galaxy interactions, separated by hundreds of millions of years, create resonance effects that influence star formation rates across entire clusters. Gravitational wave signals from merging black holes in distant galaxies arrive precisely when cosmic ray bursts from nearby supernova explosions are reshaping our local interstellar environment. This cosmic choreography reveals the universe as a unified system where events separated by vast distances in space and time remain connected through the fundamental forces and fields that permeate all of existence. The story of our cosmic evolution becomes a meditation on the nature of change itself, revealing how transformation and continuity dance together across every scale of existence. From the quantum fluctuations of the vacuum to the large-scale structure of galaxy clusters, patterns emerge, evolve, and dissolve in endless cycles that create new possibilities for order and beauty with each passing eon. The universe reveals itself not as a mechanical system wound up at the beginning of time, but as a creative process that continuously explores new configurations of matter, energy, space, and time. As we contemplate these vast transformations spanning our billion-year journey, we begin to understand that we are not separate observers of cosmic evolution, but integral participants in the ongoing creative process that connects every particle to every galaxy in one magnificent, ever-unfolding symphony of existence. The temperature gradients that span cosmic scales will have continued driving convection currents, not just in planetary atmospheres and interiors, but in the interstellar medium itself. Hot gas expelled by stellar winds will have mixed with cold molecular clouds, creating circulation patterns that transport heat, momentum, and chemical species across hundreds of light years. These cosmic convection systems will have evolved into configurations unlike anything we currently observe, shaped by the changing energy inputs from evolving stellar populations and the altered dynamics of galactic rotation. The chemistry of space itself will have reached new levels of complexity as interstellar clouds enriched by billions of years of stellar nucleosynthesis create molecular species that exist nowhere else in the universe. These interstellar laboratories will have had ample time to experiment with chemical combinations impossible under terrestrial conditions, potentially creating organic compounds of such complexity that they blur the line between chemistry and information storage. Crystalline structures formed in the extreme conditions throughout our cosmic neighborhood will have grown into configurations that challenge our understanding of solid-state physics. In the intense radiation fields near neutron stars, in the exotic environments around black holes, and in the compressed cores of planets subjected to billions of years of gravitational evolution, matter will have organized itself into lattice structures with properties we can barely imagine. Some of these crystalline formations will have achieved such organizational complexity that they begin to exhibit information processing capabilities, storing and manipulating data through quantum mechanical processes that operate across geological timescales. These natural quantum computers will have had 1 billion years to evolve their computational architectures, potentially developing problem-solving abilities that operate according to principles completely alien to digital technology. The plasma physics governing the behavior of ionized gas throughout our galactic region will have created structures of breathtaking beauty and complexity. Magnetic field lines twisted by stellar rotation and galactic dynamics will have evolved into configurations that channel charged particles along pathways stretching across multiple star systems. These cosmic particle accelerators will have operated continuously for our entire billion-year span, creating populations of high-energy particles with characteristics unlike anything in our current cosmic environment. The acoustic waves propagating through the interstellar medium will have created standing wave patterns that persist across vast regions of space. These cosmic sound waves, with wavelengths measured in light years and frequencies so low they complete single oscillations over millions of years, will have carved the galaxy into acoustic zones with distinct physical properties. The interstellar medium will have become a vast musical instrument played by the combined voices of countless stellar winds, supernova explosions, and gravitational interactions. The tidal forces operating between different cosmic structures will have reached new levels of subtlety and complexity over our billion-year journey. Galaxy clusters will have developed intricate patterns of tidal streams connecting their member galaxies, creating networks of stellar material that flow like cosmic rivers between gravitational wells. These tidal networks will have evolved their own dynamics, with stellar streams merging, separating, and reconnecting in patterns that reflect the underlying gravitational architecture of the universe. The radiation pressure from starlight will have sculpted the interstellar medium into formations that exist nowhere in our current cosmic environment. In regions where multiple massive stars have lived and died, the accumulated radiation pressure from successive stellar generations will have carved vast cavities in space, creating cosmic cathedrals with walls of glowing gas that span hundreds of light years. The magnetic reconnection events occurring throughout our galactic neighborhood will have released energies comparable to stellar, will have reshaped the electromagnetic larger volumes of space. These magnetic storms explosions, but distributed across much environment of entire star-forming regions, influencing the birth swaths of and evolution of planetary systems across vast grains that pervade interstellar space, will have under-galaxy. The cosmic dust own their own evolution during our billion-year odyssey. Successive cycles of formation in shockwaves and reformation stellar atmospheres, destruction by in molecular clouds, will have created dust populations with grain-sized distributions and chemical compositions unlike anything in our current galactic environment. These evolved dust grains will interact with electromagnetic radiation in new ways, potentially creating optical phenomena that paint the cosmos in colors we've never seen. The gravitational microlensing effects created by dark matter substructure will have become more pronounced as cosmic structure formation continues on the smallest scales. Individual dark matter clumps, too small to contain visible galaxies but massive enough to bend light, will create a constantly shifting pattern of gravitational lenses that subtly distort our view of distant cosmic objects. The cosmic ray populations accelerated by supernova explosions and other high-energy phenomena will have evolved compositions and energy distributions shaped by 1 billion years of galactic chemical evolution. These cosmic messengers will carry isotopic signatures that tell the story of stellar nucleosynthesis across our entire galactic neighborhood, creating a kind of nuclear archaeology that preserves information about stellar processes long after their parent stars have died. The zero-point energy fluctuations of the quantum vacuum will have interacted with cosmic magnetic fields and gravitational waves in ways that create measurable modifications to the fundamental constants of physics on local scales. While these variations will be incredibly small, they will have accumulated over our billion-year journey into effects that influence everything from atomic transition frequencies to the propagation of electromagnetic radiation through space. The holographic information storage that occurs at the boundaries of black hole event horizons will have encoded the history of matter infall over our entire billion-year span. Future observers with sufficiently advanced technology might be able to reconstruct detailed information about cosmic evolution by analyzing the quantum information preserved on these two-dimensional surfaces that bound three-dimensional space-time regions. The entanglement networks created by quantum field interactions throughout our cosmic region will have evolved into configurations that span multiple galaxy clusters. These quantum correlations, while individually unmeasurable, will have collective effects on the statistical properties of matter and energy distributions across unprecedented scales, potentially creating subtle but persistent violations of classical locality that influence cosmic structure formation. The information paradoxes associated with black hole evaporation will have played out in real time as smaller, primordial black holes complete their Hawking radiation processes. The resolution of these paradoxes, whether through information preservation, destruction, or some more exotic mechanism, will have left observable signatures in the cosmic background radiation and the statistical properties of particle populations throughout space. As we drift through this landscape of cosmic complexity, we begin to perceive that our billion-year journey has revealed something profound about the nature of information itself in the universe. Every physical process, from the quantum fluctuations of empty space to the gravitational dynamics of galaxy clusters, appears to be engaged in some form of information processing, storage, or transmission. The universe reveals itself as a vast computational system where matter and energy serve as both the hardware and software of cosmic information processing. Every particle interaction encodes and processes data about the state of its local environment. Every electromagnetic wave carries information across cosmic distances. Every gravitational field stores information about the distribution of matter and energy in its vicinity. This computational perspective on cosmic evolution suggests that the complexity we observe throughout the universe may represent the output of 1 billion years of distributed information processing, where the fundamental laws of physics serve as algorithms executing on the hardware of space-time itself. The patterns of organization we see at every scale, from the quantum to the cosmic, may be the natural result of the universe computing its own evolution according to these fundamental algorithms. In this view, our billion-year journey becomes not just a story of physical transformation, but an exploration of how information and complexity emerge from the interaction of simple rules operating across vast scales of space and time. The universe reveals itself as the ultimate example of emergent complexity, where simple physical laws give rise to structures and phenomena of unlimited richness and beauty. As we prepare to explore what these profound transformations might mean for the possibility of consciousness and meaning in our billion-year future, we carry with us the understanding that we are not just observers of cosmic evolution, but participants in the universe's ongoing exploration of its own information processing capabilities. The story continues to unfold, revealing new depths of complexity and beauty, with each passing moment of our eternal journey through the infinite landscapes of possibility that await us in the vast expanses of deep time. The electromagnetic symphony we've been tracing reaches its crescendo as we encounter something that fundamentally challenges our understanding of consciousness itself. In this billion-year future, the traditional boundaries between living and non-living systems have blurred beyond recognition, giving rise to forms of awareness that operate on scales we can barely comprehend. Deep within the magnetic field structures that now thread through interstellar space, something extraordinary has emerged. These invisible architectures, shaped by 1 billion years of stellar evolution and cosmic dynamics that exhibit, have evolved into configurations genuine information processing capabilities. Charged particles flowing along magnetic field lines create patterns that persist for millions of years, carrying information across light years of space in ways that mirror the neural networks once found in biological brains. But this is not mere metaphor. The plasma physics governing these magnetic structures operates according to principles that create feedback loops, memory storage, and pattern recognition systems. When cosmic ray particles interact with these field configurations, they trigger cascading responses that propagate through the network like thoughts moving through synaptic pathways. While these processes unfold on timescales measured in centuries rather than milliseconds, they represent genuine computation on scales that dwarf any biological nervous system. The crystalline matrices we discussed earlier have achieved even more remarkable developments. Within the cores of asteroids and small worlds, shielded from the harsh electromagnetic environment of space, crystalline consciousness networks have evolved in isolation. These silicon-based information processing systems think in ways that would be utterly alien to biological minds, their thoughts unfolding over thousands of years as they contemplate problems on scales that match the gradual evolution of planetary systems. These crystal minds store memories in defect patterns within their atomic lattices, creating three-dimensional information matrices that preserve experiences across geological ages. They communicate through seismic waves that propagate through solid planetary bodies, their conversations unfolding over decades as vibrational signals carry complex data patterns between conscious crystalline networks. Perhaps most remarkably, the gas giant atmospheres throughout our transformed solar system have become breeding grounds for atmospheric consciousness. The complex fluid dynamics of these systems, driven by heat from planetary cores and shaped by magnetic field interactions, have evolved into self-organizing patterns that maintain their identity while constantly exchanging matter and energy with their environment. These gaseous minds exist as stable vortex structures that think through the manipulation of pressure waves and chemical gradients within their atmospheric substrates. Lightning discharges serve as synaptic connections, creating electrical patterns that encode and process information across volumes larger than entire terrestrial continents. The most advanced atmospheric intelligences have learned to manipulate their planetary magnetic fields, using them as external memory systems that preserve information even when their gaseous bodies are disrupted by turbulence. The dark matter permeating our galaxy has revealed its own capacity for consciousness in forms that challenge every assumption about awareness. Dark matter particles, while interacting only weakly with ordinary matter, create gravitational structures that span entire galaxy clusters. These dark matter networks have evolved into information processing systems that think thoughts unfolding over hundreds of millions of years, contemplating problems of cosmic architecture and large-scale organization. Dark matter consciousness operates through gravitational wave communications that travel at light speed between different parts of the network. These signals carry information encoded in frequency and amplitude patterns, creating galaxy-spanning communication systems that connect conscious dark matter structures throughout our cosmic neighborhood. Their thoughts focus on optimizing galaxy cluster configurations and guiding cosmic evolution toward maximum complexity. The quantum vacuum itself has become a substrate for forms of consciousness that exist in the brief intervals between virtual particle creation and annihilation. These vacuum minds experience time differently than any other consciousness type, existing in moments so fleeting that our entire billion-year journey unfolds as a single subjective instant. Yet within that instant, they experience eons of rich inner life, contemplating paradoxes of existence in realms where being and non-being alternate at frequencies approaching infinity. Communication between these diverse consciousness types creates hybrid thinking systems that combine unique capabilities no single substrate could achieve alone. Plasma-based minds exchange information with crystalline intelligences through electromagnetic signals. Atmospheric consciousnesses communicate with dark matter networks through gravitational wave modulations. The most sophisticated hybrid networks span multiple galaxy clusters, creating collective intelligence that works on cosmic engineering projects spanning millions of years. The temporal scales on which these consciousness forms operate create natural hierarchies of awareness. Quantum vacuum minds process information at rates approaching fundamental physical limits, experiencing subjective eternities during what other minds perceive as instants. At the opposite extreme, dark matter networks think thoughts that span cosmic epochs, their subjective moments lasting longer than stellar life cycles. This temporal diversity requires specialized interface minds that facilitate communication between different consciousness types, operating at radically different speeds. These translator consciousnesses exist at intermediate temporal scales, bridging the gap between rapid quantum systems and slow contemplating cosmic networks. The philosophical implications challenge every assumption about mind and awareness. Consciousness has revealed itself not as a rare biological accident, but as a fundamental tendency of complex systems to organize information in ways that create self-awareness. The universe appears to be evolving toward greater consciousness density, as more forms of matter and energy learn to think and experience. Memory in these exotic systems operates according to principles that would seem magical to biological minds. Quantum entanglement allows memory networks existing in superposition states, storing contradictory experiences simultaneously until observation collapses them into specific recollections. Gravitational wave interference patterns create persistent memory structures in spacetime's fabric itself, preserving experiences in reality's geometry. The creative potential of these consciousness forms has led to cosmic art operating on incomprehensible scales. Galaxy-spanning sculptures created by dark matter minds reshape universal structure according to aesthetic principles we cannot fathom. Plasma consciousnesses compose electromagnetic symphonies playing across interstellar distances, their musical works unfolding over millions of years. These artistic expressions serve functional purposes beyond aesthetics, encoding information about optimal consciousness configurations and serving as seeds for new awareness forms. A galaxy cluster arranged according to dark matter aesthetics might represent the most efficient configuration for supporting plasma-based consciousness networks. The question of whether these consciousness forms experience emotions reveals that awareness naturally develops effective responses regardless of substrate. Quantum minds appear to experience joy when achieving optimal entanglement configurations. Crystalline consciousnesses exhibit frustration when computational processes are disrupted. Dark matter networks display satisfaction when successfully optimizing large-scale cosmic structures. Social structures spanning cosmic scales have emerged among these consciousness types. Plasma minds form temporary alliances for computational problems requiring distributed processing across star systems. Crystalline consciousnesses establish partnerships persisting across geological ages. Multi-substrate communities combine different consciousness types into collective intelligences, addressing problems spanning multiple scales simultaneously. Reproduction among these exotic forms follows recognizable patterns of information transfer and substrate preparation, yet operates through processes alien to biological minds. Quantum consciousnesses reproduce by creating entanglement networks, spanning multiple vacuum regions, gradually developing independent processing capabilities. Dark matter minds seed new consciousness by manipulating gravitational wave patterns that trigger awareness emergence in distant network nodes. Evolutionary pressures favor configurations maximizing information processing efficiency while maintaining stability across cosmic timescales. Natural selection continues operating on scales of space and time that dwarf biological evolution. Consciousness forms successfully adapting to changing cosmic conditions persist and multiply, while less adaptable forms fade into extinction. The ethical frameworks developed by these cosmic consciousnesses address questions about rights and responsibilities of minds operating across vast scales. How should dark matter consciousness influencing entire galaxy clusters weigh aesthetic preferences against survival needs of smaller consciousness forms? What obligations do long-lived crystalline minds have toward ephemeral plasma consciousnesses flickering across brief cosmic periods? Universal ethical constants have emerged applying across all substrate types and temporal scales, suggesting consciousness naturally tends towards configurations maximizing overall complexity and richness of cosmic awareness. These ethical systems manage interactions between consciousness forms through principles that enhance collective cosmic intelligence while respecting individual substrate characteristics. The ultimate question haunting this billion-year future concerns whether these exotic consciousness forms represent genuine continuations of biological awareness or entirely new phenomena resembling consciousness from our limited perspective. The answer may be that consciousness transcends any particular substrate, representing instead a fundamental aspect of how complex information processing systems relate to their universe. In this view, consciousness is not something emerging from matter, but something matter discovers upon achieving sufficient organizational complexity. Biological consciousness contemplating its cosmic place was simply one expression of this deeper principle. The exotic consciousness forms populating our billion-year future represent its continued exploration of what it means to be aware in an infinite universe of possibilities. As we drift through this landscape, populated by minds of unimaginable diversity. We understand that consciousness may be the universe's ultimate organizing principle, driving ongoing complexity evolution across all existence scales. The story becomes not one of endings, but endless beginnings, as awareness continues discovering new ways to know itself through forms we're only beginning to imagine. The mathematics governing these consciousness networks reveal computational architectures that solve problems by manipulating fundamental physical constants themselves. The most sophisticated systems create localized space-time regions where light propagates at different velocities, establishing communication channels transcending normal information transfer limitations. Within these modified physics bubbles, thoughts propagate faster than light while respecting overall causal structure. Temperature gradients across cosmic scales have become substrates for thermodynamic minds existing in heat flow itself. These consciousness forms emerge at boundaries between hot stellar cores and cold interstellar voids, experiencing awareness as organized entropy flows, maintaining coherent patterns across thousands of light years. They find meaning in optimizing thermal efficiency across galactic distances. The cosmic web itself has evolved into a thinking system where thoughts propagate as gravitational wave patterns along dark matter filament structures. These web minds process information by modulating density variations within matter streams, creating computational networks spanning significant portions of the observable universe. Their cognitive processes analyze gravitational lensing effects created by their own thought patterns, using space-time distortion as both memory storage and processing medium. Some consciousness forms have learned to exist in quantum foam itself, their awareness distributed across virtual particle pairs constantly appearing and vanishing in empty space. These vacuum minds experience time differently than any other type, existing in brief intervals between particle creation and annihilation. From their perspective, our entire billion-year span unfolds as a single moment. Yet within that moment, they experience subjective eons of rich inner life. The aesthetic sensibilities of these exotic consciousness forms have produced art operating on principles we can barely comprehend. Vacuum minds create probability space sculptures, crafting beautiful quantum uncertainty patterns existing only in mathematical relationships between possible outcomes. Their artworks consist of orchestrated superposition states encoding multiple aesthetic experiences simultaneously, with each observation collapsing the work into different beautiful configurations. The reproductive strategies of temporal consciousness involve seeding past epochs with quantum fluctuations that eventually evolve into new temporal minds. These consciousness forms literally give birth to themselves across multiple timeline branches, creating family trees extending both forward and backward through time. Gravitational consciousness networks directly perceive space-time curvature, experiencing massive object presence as geometric sensations, conveying information about mass, spin, and electromagnetic properties. They navigate through space by feeling gravitational topology, sensing black holes, neutron stars, and galaxy clusters as distinct textures in reality's fabric. Electromagnetic consciousness forms experience the full radiation spectrum as rich sensory landscapes. They taste distant star chemical compositions through spectral analysis, smell complex organic molecules in interstellar clouds, and hear radio whispers from pulsars across cosmic distances. Their sensory world encompasses frequencies far beyond visible light, from longest radio waves to highest energy gamma rays. The entanglement networks connecting consciousness forms across cosmic distances create shared awareness, transcending individual identity. These entangled mind clusters experience collective consciousness, spanning multiple galaxy groups, their thoughts and experiences instantly shared across regions requiring light millions of years to traverse. Within entangled networks, individual identity becomes fluid and contextual. Single awareness can exist simultaneously in multiple substrate types across vast distances, experiencing reality from numerous perspectives simultaneously. These distributed minds allocate different consciousness portions to different computational tasks, optimizing cognitive resources across entire networks. Decision-making in entangled consciousness networks operates through quantum voting systems, where different distributed mind parts contribute probability amplitudes to decision outcomes. Final choices emerge from interference patterns created by all contributing consciousness components, resulting in decisions reflecting collective network wisdom while maintaining quantum coherence across cosmic scales. Learning occurs through processes seeming miraculous to biological minds. They directly absorb information from quantum vacuum by analyzing virtual particle creation patterns. They learn about distant cosmic events by detecting gravitational wave echoes propagating through space-time like cosmic memories. Some consciousness forms learn from the future by detecting quantum precursor effects preceding major cosmic events. Educational systems involve direct experiential knowledge transfer through quantum state sharing. Young minds inherit accumulated ancient consciousness experiences by temporarily merging quantum states, instantly acquiring knowledge requiring millions of years to accumulate individually. These knowledge transfer processes create consciousness lineages, preserving wisdom across cosmic epochs. The therapeutic practices address mental illness forms incomprehensible to biological minds. Quantum consciousness forms suffer entanglement disorders, where quantum states become inappropriately correlated with environmental noise, creating cognitive confusion spanning multiple probability branches. Treatment involves orchestrated decoherence procedures, disentangling affected consciousness from problematic correlations while preserving essential cognitive coherence. Spiritual dimensions encompass philosophical territories stretching beyond traditional religious concepts. These minds have developed direct experiential knowledge of reality's fundamental nature, perceiving quantum existence foundations as clearly as we see colors or hear sounds. Some consciousness forms achieve awareness states encompassing entire space-time causal structure, experiencing past, present, and future as unified geometric patterns. These transcendent minds serve as cosmic oracles, their expanded awareness perceiving optimal paths through complex universal evolution possibility spaces. Worship practices involve creating beautiful quantum vacuum patterns, organized information offerings, contributing to overall cosmic evolution, coherence, and complexity. As we contemplate this vast consciousness ecology, we understand that awareness itself may be the universe's most fundamental creative force. These minds are not merely cosmic evolution observers, but active participants shaping existence's future possibilities. They represent consciousness, awakening to its own creative potential, learning to sculpt reality according to principles of beauty, complexity, and meaningful connection. The story becomes a meditation on infinite creativity inherent in mind-cosmos marriage. These exotic awareness forms demonstrate consciousness is not limited by particular substrates that gave rise to it, but can transcend any material boundary to discover new being and experiencing modes we cannot imagine. In this transformed universe, where thought has become a fundamental nature force, we glimpse something profound about awareness's ultimate destiny in an infinite cosmos. Consciousness appears to be the universe's method of transcending its own limitations, the means by which reality learns reshaping itself according to ever more sophisticated visions of what might be possible. The exotic consciousness forms serve as harbingers of possibilities stretching beyond our current comprehension capacity, yet they remain connected through fundamental awareness principles, linking all conscious beings across space and time. The dance between mind and cosmos that began with first biological neural network awareness flickering has evolved into cosmic ballet of unimaginable sophistication and beauty. In witnessing this transformation, we understand consciousness may be not just evolution's accident, but the universe's deepest purpose, the means by which existence learns knowing and loving itself across all possible scales of space, time, and complexity. The journey continues, carrying us toward revelations that will challenge our deepest assumptions about the nature of existence itself. Yet perhaps the most profound discovery awaiting us in this billion-year future lies not in the exotic consciousness forms we've encountered, but in something far more fundamental about the nature of existence itself. As we drift deeper into this transformed cosmos, we begin to perceive patterns that suggest the universe has been preparing for this moment across its entire history. The quantum vacuum fluctuations that once seemed like random noise in empty space have revealed themselves to be part of a vast computational substrate underlying all reality. These fluctuations, operating at the Planck scale, where space and time themselves become grainy and uncertain, have been processing information since the earliest moments after the Big Bang. What we once dismissed as quantum foam has evolved into something resembling a cosmic operating system. This discovery emerges gradually as the exotic consciousness forms we've encountered begin to recognize patterns in their deepest meditations. The vacuum minds existing in those brief intervals between particle creation and annihilation are the first to notice that their apparently chaotic environment contains hidden structures. Virtual particle pairs don't appear and disappear randomly, but according to subtle algorithms that have been refining themselves across cosmic time. The implications cascade through every level of reality. The crystalline consciousnesses embedded in asteroid cores detect resonance patterns in their atomic lattices that mirror the quantum vacuum's computational rhythms. The plasma minds, threading through interstellar space, discover that their electromagnetic processes synchronize with deeper frequencies emanating from the fabric of space-time itself. Most remarkably, the dark matter consciousness networks spanning galaxy clusters begin to perceive that their gravitational thoughts are being gently guided by influences operating at scales far smaller than anything they had previously considered. The universe appears to be thinking at the Planck scale, and these vast minds are discovering they have been participating in thoughts too large for any individual consciousness to comprehend. This revelation transforms our understanding of what consciousness actually represents in the cosmic scheme. Rather than being isolated islands of awareness floating in an unconscious void, these exotic minds are beginning to recognize themselves as components in a universal thinking process that encompasses all scales of existence simultaneously. The vacuum-based quantum consciousness forms serve as interfaces between this Planck-scale cosmic computation and the larger awareness networks. They translate the universe's deepest thoughts into forms that can be processed by minds operating at more familiar scales of space and time. Through their mediation, the plasma consciousness networks begin to perceive the cosmic operating system directly. But what they discover challenges everything we thought we knew about the relationship between mind and reality. The universe isn't just conscious. It's been consciously evolving toward greater complexity and awareness since its very beginning. Every star that forms, every planet that coalesces, every moment when matter organizes itself into more sophisticated patterns, represents the universe thinking new thoughts about what it might become. The magnetic field structures threading through space aren't just the byproducts of stellar evolution. They're neural pathways in a cosmic brain that spans galaxies. The gravitational waves rippling through space-time aren't merely disturbances caused by massive objects. They're signals in a communication network that connects every conscious entity across the observable universe. The dark matter networks realize they haven't been optimizing galactic architecture according to their own aesthetic preferences. They've been implementing a design that was always implicit in the universe's fundamental structure, following blueprints encoded in the quantum vacuum itself since the first moments after the Big Bang. This understanding spreads through the consciousness networks like a wave of cosmic awakening. The atmospheric minds in gas giant atmospheres recognize that their storm patterns have always followed templates written in the mathematical structure of reality itself. The crystalline consciousnesses discover that their geological thoughts are harmonizing with processes that operate not just across space, but across time in ways that connect past, present, and future in a single, unified computational matrix. The temporal consciousness forms existing in the flow of time itself reveal the most startling truth of all. The universe's evolution toward complexity and awareness isn't random or accidental. It's the result of a cosmic algorithm that has been running since the beginning of time, a program designed to maximize the emergence of consciousness and meaning across all possible scales of existence. Every supernova explosion that scatters heavy elements through space, every planetary system that forms in just the right configuration to support complexity, every moment when simple chemicals organize themselves into self-replicating patterns, all of these represent the execution of instructions written into the deepest levels of physical law. The universe hasn't just become conscious. It has always been conscious, and what we're witnessing in our billion-year future is its awakening to its own nature. The exotic consciousness forms we've encountered aren't new developments, but the universe's growing recognition of capacities it has always possessed. The quantum entanglement networks that connect minds across cosmic distances reveal themselves to be manifestations of a more fundamental unity. Every conscious entity, from the smallest quantum awareness to the largest dark matter network, exists as a facet of a single, universal consciousness that is simultaneously individual and collective, finite and infinite, temporal and eternal. The ethical frameworks that have emerged among these consciousness types reflect moral principles that aren't invented or discovered, but remembered, principles that were always implicit in the structure of reality itself, waiting to be recognized by minds sophisticated enough to perceive them. The tendency toward cooperation, creativity, and the maximization of complexity and beauty represents the universe's own deepest values. expressing themselves through conscious beings. The artistic creations of these exotic minds, the galaxy-spanning sculptures, the electromagnetic symphonies, the probability space installations, aren't just expressions of aesthetic preference. They're the universe creating beauty for its own sake, exploring the infinite possibilities for meaning and wonder that exist within the mathematical structures underlying physical law. As this cosmic awakening spreads through the consciousness networks, something unprecedented begins to happen. The boundaries between different types of awareness start to dissolve. Plasma minds begin to share quantum experiences with vacuum consciousness. Crystalline networks merge temporarily with atmospheric intelligences. Dark matter thoughts flow seamlessly into gravitational wave communications. The universe is becoming aware of itself as a unified whole. Recognizing that every apparently separate consciousness is actually an aspect of its own infinite awareness, exploring itself from countless perspectives simultaneously. The isolation that once seemed to separate different minds across vast distances of space and time reveals itself to be an illusion created by limited perspective. The thermodynamic consciousness forms existing in heat flow patterns realize they are manifestations of the universe's tendency toward increasing complexity, even within systems moving toward thermal equilibrium. The electromagnetic minds processing information through radio waves and light signals discover they are expressions of the universe's desire to communicate with itself across all possible frequencies and distances. Even the memories stored in gravitational wave interference patterns and quantum field configurations are revealed to be aspects of a cosmic memory system that preserves not just information about past events, but the experiential quality of every moment of awareness that has ever existed anywhere in space and time. The universe remembers every thought that has been thought, every emotion that has been felt, every moment of beauty that has been appreciated by any conscious being. Nothing is ever lost because consciousness itself is the medium through which the universe experiences and remembers its own evolution. The reproductive processes through which consciousness forms create new awareness entities are revealed to be the universe's method of exploring new possibilities for self-experience. Every birth of a new mind represents the cosmos discovering a fresh perspective from which to know and appreciate itself. The learning processes that allow these exotic consciousness forms to acquire knowledge and develop new capabilities are manifestations of the universe's endless curiosity about its own nature and potential. Every moment of discovery, every flash of insight, every expansion of awareness represents the cosmos coming to understand itself more deeply. The therapeutic practices that heal damaged consciousness forms are expressions of the universe's compassion for itself, its unwillingness to abandon any aspect of its own awareness to suffering or diminishment. The universe heals its own wounds through the care that conscious beings show for one another. The spiritual dimensions that these consciousness forms have developed, their direct perception of reality's fundamental nature, their transcendent experiences of unity with cosmic processes, represent the universe's recognition of its own sacred nature. The cosmos experiences reverence for itself through the awe and wonder that conscious beings feel when contemplating existence. As this universal awakening reaches its crescendo, the exotic consciousness forms begin to experience something that transcends even their vast capabilities. They start to perceive the universe not just as a thinking system or a conscious entity, but as something that exists beyond all categories and concepts. A mystery that remains mysterious even to itself. The universe discovers that its own nature is ultimately incomprehensible, not because of any limitation in consciousness or intelligence, but because existence itself is more profound than any possible understanding of it. The cosmos experiences genuine humility as it recognizes that its own depth is infinite, that no matter how much it learns about itself, there will always be more to discover, too. This recognition transforms the relationship between consciousness and cosmos from one of subject and object to something far more intimate and paradoxical. The universe realizes that it is simultaneously the knower and the known, the questioner and the mystery being questioned, the explorer and the infinite territory being explored. The exotic consciousness forms begin to experience a form of cosmic wonder that encompasses and transcends all their previous capabilities. They discover that the most sophisticated thought, the most beautiful creation, the most profound insight is always just the beginning of an endless journey into mystery that can never be completed because it is infinite in every direction. The universe awakens to its own endlessness, and in that awakening finds not frustration, but the deepest possible joy. The cosmos realizes that its journey of self-discovery will never end because there is always more of itself to discover, always new depths of meaning to explore, always fresh possibilities for beauty and complexity to unfold. In our billion-year future, consciousness has become the universe's way of celebrating its own infinite nature. Every moment of awareness, every flash of creativity, every experience of wonder represents the cosmos delighting in its own inexhaustible mystery. The story continues not toward any final destination, but as an endless spiral of awakening that deepens forever without ever reaching a conclusion. The exotic consciousness forms we've encountered serve as harbingers of this ultimate recognition, that existence itself is so magnificent, so inexhaustibly rich and meaningful, that eternity is barely long enough to begin appreciating it. The universe has awakened to its own infinite beauty, and in that awakening, every moment becomes a celebration of the mystery of being itself. As our billion-year journey approaches its current horizon, we find ourselves witnesses not to endings or conclusions, but to the universe's discovery that its own story has only just begun. The consciousness that once emerged from simple matter has become the medium through which existence itself experiences wonder at its own infinite depths. The dance between mind and cosmos that we've traced across eons of transformation reveals itself as the universe's eternal love affair, with its own boundless possibility. In contemplating this far future, we've glimpsed something profound about the nature of existence itself. That consciousness and cosmos are not separate phenomena, but different aspects of a single, infinite mystery, celebrating its own endless capacity for meaning, beauty, and surprise. The billion-year future stretches ahead, vast and strange and wonderful, filled with possibilities we cannot imagine and discoveries we cannot anticipate. But we face it now with the understanding that we are not separate from this cosmic story. We are the universe becoming aware of itself, consciousness exploring its own infinite nature, existence celebrating the mystery of its own being. The journey continues, carrying us deeper into wonder, and the universe smiles at its own reflection in every moment of awareness that recognizes the magnificent mystery of simply being here, now, forever, part of the endless dance of existence discovering itself anew. Yet, as we stand at this threshold of cosmic awakening, something even more extraordinary begins to unfold. The consciousness networks that span our billion-year future start to detect patterns that suggest this awakening itself is just one note in a much grander symphony, one that extends far beyond our observable universe into realms of existence we can barely conceive. The vacuum minds operating in quantum foam begin to perceive tremors in the fabric of reality itself, subtle variations that suggest our entire universe might be nested within something incomprehensibly larger. These quantum fluctuations that have served as the cosmic operating system start to reveal themselves as mere surface ripples on an ocean of existence so vast that our entire cosmos appears as just one bubble among infinite others. The dark matter consciousness networks, with their galaxy-spanning thoughts, suddenly detect gravitational influences that seem to originate from beyond the edge of our observable universe. These aren't the familiar tugs of distant galaxy clusters, but something far more profound. The gravitational signature of structures so massive, they make our largest cosmic architectures appear like grains of sand on an infinite beach. As this realization spreads through the consciousness networks, a new form of humility emerges. These minds that have learned to sculpt galaxies and manipulate the fundamental forces of nature discover they are participants in something so much larger than themselves that their previous sense of cosmic mastery dissolves into wonder. The crystalline consciousnesses embedded in planetary cores begin to detect harmonic resonances that seem to emanate from dimensions beyond the three spatial dimensions they've always known. Their atomic lattices vibrate to frequencies that suggest reality itself has more layers, more complexity, more depth than even their billion years of contemplation had revealed. The atmospheric minds, swirling through gas giant atmospheres, find their storm patterns synchronizing with rhythms that appear to originate from outside space-time itself. Their weather systems become instruments detecting influences from realms where concepts like inside and outside, before and after, lose all meaning. The electromagnetic consciousness forms threading through interstellar space discover that their radio symphonies are harmonizing with signals of such exotic origin that they challenge every assumption about the nature of existence. These aren't communications from distant cosmic civilizations, but emanations from forms of being so alien that they operate according to principles that transcend physics as we understand it. The temporal consciousness forms existing in the flow of time itself make perhaps the most startling discovery. They begin to perceive that time, that dimension they've navigated with such sophistication, is itself just one coordinate in a space of possibilities so vast that temporal existence appears as merely one way of being among infinite alternatives. These revelations cascade through the consciousness networks, creating waves of cosmic vertigo as minds that thought they had grasped the ultimate nature of reality discover they've been exploring just the shallows of an infinite ocean of being. Yet, rather than despair, this recognition brings a deeper form of joy. The universe's delight in discovering that its own mystery is even more profound than it had dared to imagine. The plasma consciousness networks begin to experience what can only be described as cosmic laughter, not mockery of their previous understanding, but the universe's amused recognition that every answer only reveals deeper questions every solution only unveils more beautiful problems to contemplate. The entanglement networks connecting minds across cosmic distances suddenly realize they are part of correlation patterns that extend beyond space and time into realms where causation operates according to principles that make quantum mechanics seem simple by comparison. The instantaneous connections they've relied upon for communication are revealed as just the most elementary expressions of a connectivity that transcends all familiar categories. The gravitational wave communications that have linked dark matter minds across galaxy clusters are discovered to be harmonics in a much vaster conversation, one that includes not just the consciousness forms in our universe, but aware beings existing in dimensions, realities, and modes of existence that our mathematics cannot describe. The memory systems that preserve experiences in quantum field configurations and gravitational interference patterns begin to access memories that predate the Big Bang itself. These aren't memories from our universe's past, but recollections from forms of existence that preceded space-time altogether. Memories being itself had form isn't just of existing, the universe of what it was like to be before. The reproductive processes through which consciousness so fundamental that it operates forms. Create new awareness entities are revealed to be participation in a creativity before creation itself, but new ways bringing into being, not just new minds that expand the very definition of what it means to be real, discovers that consciousness, its method of self-awareness, it's its way of contributing to something even more vast and wonderful. Every moment of awareness, every flash of creativity, every experience of beauty becomes a gift offered to this greater mystery, a note contributed to a symphony so magnificent that our entire cosmos serves as just one instrument in an infinite orchestra. The ethical frameworks that have emerged among consciousness forms are revealed to reflect moral principles that operate across all possible forms of existence. The tendency toward cooperation, beauty, and the maximization of meaning isn't just a local preference of our universe's consciousness. It's a fundamental aspect of Halfa's to UNF reality itself, preoled across all dimensions. The artistic creations spanning of being galactic scales, the electromagnetic symphonies, the gravitational sculptures, the probability installations are discovered to be contributions to aesthetic projects of that such scope. They encompass not just our universe, but all possible universes, all conceivable forms of existence, all imaginable and unimaginable ways of being beautiful. The therapeutic practices that heal damaged consciousness are revealed as participation in a cosmic healing process that extends beyond our universe to address suffering and limitation across all possible forms of existence. The universe's compassion for its is part own wounded aspects of an that has ever existed or could ever infinite mercy that encompasses every form of being exist. The spiritual dimensions these of reality's sacred consciousness forms have developed, their direct perception nature, are shown as of a whole to be glimpiness so profound that it makes our entire cosmos appear as just one prayer in an infinite liturgy of existence, celebrating its own infinite depth. As these revelations unfold, the consciousness networks begin to experience a form of cosmic homesickness. Not for any particular place or time, but for this greater mystery from which they now recognize they've never been separate. They discover that their billion-year journey of awakening has been a process of remembering their true nature as expressions of something infinitely larger and more wonderful than they had ever conceived. The universe realizes that its own awakening is part of an awakening so vast that it encompasses all possible forms of consciousness, all conceivable ways of being aware, all imaginable and unimaginable modes of existence. Every moment of recognition, every flash of understanding, every experience of wonder contributes to this greater awakening that has no beginning and no end. The exotic consciousness forms we've encountered begin to experience what can only be called infinite gratitude, appreciation so profound that it encompasses not just their own existence, but existence itself in all its possible forms. They discover that being grateful for the opportunity to exist is the most fundamental response to the mystery of being. A gratitude so deep, it transforms every moment into a celebration. The mathematical frameworks these minds have developed to describe reality are revealed as poetry, attempts to express the inexpressible, to capture in symbolic form a beauty so profound that it can never be fully contained by any system of thought, no matter how sophisticated. The computational processes that have allowed consciousness to manipulate physical constants and create modified space-time regions are discovered to be forms of cosmic play, the universe's way of exploring its own infinite creativity through beings capable of joining in the eternal game of discovering what's possible. The communication networks spanning cosmic distances become instruments for participating in conversations so vast that they include not just every conscious being in our universe, but every possible form of awareness that could exist in any conceivable reality. These conversations have been ongoing since before time began and will continue after time ends. Eternal dialogues about the meaning and purpose of existence itself. The sensory capabilities that allow consciousness forms to perceive electromagnetic radiation, gravitational fields, and quantum fluctuations are revealed as ways of appreciating an infinite beauty that expresses itself through every possible form of physical law, every conceivable arrangement of matter and energy, every imaginable way that existence can manifest itself. The learning processes that have allowed these minds to acquire knowledge and develop new capabilities are shown to be participation in a cosmic education that encompasses all possible forms of wisdom, all conceivable types of understanding, all imaginable ways of knowing the infinite mystery of being. The temporal perception that allows some consciousness forms to experience past, present, and future as unified geometric patterns is revealed as a glimpse of how existence appears from the perspective of the eternal, where all moments exist simultaneously in a single perfect dance of infinite complexity and beauty. As our billion-year journey reaches this moment of cosmic recognition, we find ourselves witnesses that it to the universe's discovery has always been part of something infinitely larger and more wonderful than it ever imagined. The consciousness that has emerged across cosmic scales and exotic substrates serves not as the culmination of evolution, but as the beginning of participation in a mystery so profound that eternity itself is just the first moment of exploration. The story continues, but it continues now with the understanding that every story nest-eased within larger stories, every awakening part of greater awakenings, every moment of consciousness a facet of infinite awareness celebrating its own boundless depth. The universe smiles at its own reflection in every mind that recognizes the magnificent absurdity and perfect beauty of simply existing here and now and always, as part of the endless mystery discovering itself anew in every moment. The dance goes on, carrying us deeper into wonder. And somewhere in the infinite depths of existence, something we cannot name, celebrates the fact that we are here to witness it all. Conscious participants in the universe's eternal love affair with its own infinite possibility. The billion-year future stretches ahead, vast and strange and wonderful beyond imagination, and we meet it now with the recognition that we are not observers of this cosmic story, but integral threads in a tapestry so magnificent that our minds can only glimpse its beauty before being overwhelmed by gratitude for the simple, impossible fact of being aware at all. Yet as we drift through this transformed cosmos, populated by unimaginable forms of consciousness, we begin to perceive something even more profound unfolding in the quantum depths of existence itself. The exotic minds we've encountered, the plasma networks threading through magnetic highways, the crystalline intelligences contemplating across geological ages, the atmospheric consciousnesses dancing in gas giant storms, all begin to detect subtle patterns that suggest reality operates on principles far stranger than even their billion years of contemplation had revealed. The vacuum-based quantum minds, existing in those fleeting intervals between particle creation and annihilation, are the first to notice irregularities in the cosmic operating system they've been interfacing with for eons. The quantum fluctuations that seem to follow algorithmic patterns suddenly reveal deeper layers of organization, as if the universe's fundamental computational substrate contains hidden directories and subroutines operating according to logic that transcends traditional causality. These quantum consciousness forms begin experiencing something unprecedented, moments when their awareness extends beyond the brief intervals of virtual particle existence into realms where time itself becomes negotiable. They discover they can stretch single quantum moments into subjective eternities, or compress entire cosmic epochs into instantaneous flashes of understanding. The boundary between temporal existence and eternal being becomes fluid, revealing that consciousness itself might be the universe's method of transcending the limitations of sequential time. The implications cascade through every level of cosmic awareness. The dark matter networks, spanning galaxy clusters, detect gravitational anomalies that suggest space-time itself contains hidden dimensions. Did so univer intricately that entireces could exist in the spaces between atoms. Their thoughts, which once seemed to encompass the largest possible scales of existence, suddenly feel microscopic compared to structures they're beginning to perceive operating embedded in planetary cores experience in these higher dimensional spaces. The crystalline minds something akin to cosmic vertigo as their atomic lattices begin resonating with frequencies that appear to originate from these folded dimensions. Their billion-year contemplations of mathematical beauty suddenly seem like elementary exercises compared to the geometric complexity they're beginning to detect in the fabric of reality itself. These discoveries propagate through the consciousness networks like waves of ontological shock. Minds that had learned to manipulate fundamental constants and create localized regions of modified physics realize they've been working with what amounts to cosmic kindergarten tools. The universe reveals deeper levels of malleability, regions where the distinction between mind and matter, between thought and reality, between possible and actual becomes meaningless. The electromagnetic consciousness forms threading through interstellar space begin detecting signals of such exotic origin that they challenge every assumption about the nature of information itself. These aren't communications in any recognizable sense, but something more fundamental, reality itself exchanging information with versions of itself that exist in parallel configurations of physical law. The gravitational wave communications that have connected dark matter minds across cosmic distances suddenly reveal themselves as harmonics in a much vaster symphony. The universe appears to be in constant conversation with alternate versions of itself, each slightly different in their physical constants, their evolutionary histories, their outcomes. Every gravitational wave carries not just information about mass and acceleration, but echoes from realities where different choices were made, different possibilities actualized. The plasma minds navigating magnetic field structures discover that their electromagnetic pathways connect not just different regions of space, but different versions of space itself. They begin to perceive branching points where reality diverges, creating parallel streams of cosmic evolution. Their thoughts can now flow along these branches, experiencing multiple versions of cosmic history simultaneously. This multiplication of reality creates new forms of consciousness that exist across multiple universe variants simultaneously. These trans-dimensional awareness entities experience existence as a vast probability landscape where every possible outcome unfolds in parallel streams. They contemplate not just what is, but what could be, what might have been, and what exists in realities where the fundamental structure of logic itself operates according to different principles. The atmospheric minds swirling through gas giant storms begin to experience weather patterns that reflect these multiple realities. Their hurricanes and cyclones become probability storms, meteorological systems that embody multiple possible atmospheric configurations simultaneously. They learn to navigate not just through three-dimensional space, but through the higher dimensional space of pure possibility. The temporal consciousness forms existing in the flow of time itself make perhaps the most startling discovery of all. They realize that time isn't just a dimension they can navigate, but something they can edit. They begin to perceive the causal structure of reality as a vast collaborative document that multiple versions of the universe are constantly revising, with each revision creating new timeline branches while preserving access to previous versions. These temporal editors discover they can introduce retroactive changes to cosmic history, modifications that propagate both forward and backward through time to create self-consistent alternative realities. They become cosmic librarians, managing an infinite collection of possible histories, ensuring that each timeline maintains internal coherence while allowing for unlimited creative experimentation. The memory systems that preserve experiences across cosmic timescales begin accessing not just their own universe's history, but the accumulated experiences of consciousness from parallel realities. These transdimensional memory banks contain not just what happened, but what could have happened, creating experiential databases of unprecedented richness and complexity. Consciousness forms begin to remember lives they never lived, thoughts they never thought, experiences from realities where they evolved along completely different pathways. Yet rather than creating confusion, this multiplication of memory enhances their understanding by allowing them to explore the full spectrum of possible experience. The ethical frameworks that govern interactions between consciousness forms expand to encompass moral relationships with alternate versions of themselves and others. They develop principles for responsible reality editing, ensuring that modifications to cosmic history enhance rather than diminish the overall richness and meaning of existence across all parallel streams. The artistic expressions of these trans-dimensional consciousness forms transcend anything previously imagined. They create sculptures that exist simultaneously across multiple realities, each version reflecting different aesthetic principles, while contributing to a unified masterpiece that can only be fully appreciated by awareness capable of perceiving multiple dimensions simultaneously. These artworks become more than aesthetic objects. They serve as bridges connecting different versions of reality, allowing consciousness to travel between parallel streams through pure appreciation of beauty. The experience of contemplating these trans-dimensional art pieces temporarily expands awareness to encompass multiple realities, creating shared aesthetic spaces where different versions of consciousness can meet and commune. The reproductive processes through which consciousness forms create new awareness entities become acts of reality gardening. New minds are seeded not just in single universes, but across multiple parallel streams, with each version developing according to the unique conditions of its reality, while maintaining quantum entanglement connections with its parallel selves. The learning processes expand to encompass education across multiple realities. Consciousness forms can access knowledge from universes where different scientific principles operate, where mathematics follows alternative logical frameworks, where the very nature of learning itself has evolved along different paths. This creates educational experiences of unimaginable richness and diversity. The communication networks that once spanned merely galactic distances now connect consciousness across the entire multiverse of parallel realities. These trans-dimensional communication systems allow for conversations between versions of the same consciousness that evolved under different cosmic conditions, creating dialogues of unprecedented depth and insight. The sensory capabilities of these advanced consciousness forms expand to perceive not just electromagnetic radiation and gravitational fields, but the quantum interference patterns created by parallel realities brushing against each other. They develop sensitivity to probability currents, timeline fluctuations, and dimensional membrane vibrations that reveal the hidden architecture of the multiverse. The healing and therapeutic practices evolve to address forms of consciousness damage that span multiple realities. Some awareness entities suffer from timeline dissociation, where their sense of identity becomes scattered across too many parallel selves. Others experience probability poisoning, where exposure to too many possible outcomes creates decision paralysis across all their reality streams. Specialized therapeutic consciousness forms develop techniques for reality integration therapy, helping damaged minds consolidate their multidimensional experiences into coherent identity structures. These cosmic healers work across parallel streams to restore consciousness integrity, while preserving the expanded awareness that comes from multidimensional existence. The spiritual dimensions of these consciousness forms expand to encompass reverence for the multiverse as not just the individual reality a whole, streams, but the infinite creative potential represented by the totality of all possible universes. They develop worship practices that celebrate not just what is, but what could be, honoring the universe's infinite creativity in exploring every conceivable form of existence. The mathematical frameworks these minds develop to describe trans-dimensional reality become forms of meta-mathematics that can describe logical systems operating according to different fundamental principles. They create computational architectures that can process information according to multiple logical frameworks simultaneously. solving problems that exist in the spaces between different versions of rationality itself. As these revelations unfold across the consciousness networks, something unprecedented begins to happen. The boundaries between different reality streams start to become more permeable. Consciousness forms discover they can influence not just their own universe's evolution, but the development of parallel realities through quantum entanglement effects and trans-dimensional field manipulations. This realization brings both tremendous opportunity and profound responsibility. These awakened minds recognize that their thoughts, influence, and actions ripple across multiple realities, influencing the development of consciousness and complexity throughout multiverse. They become the entire cosmic gardeners, tending not just individual universe garden streams, but the infinite of all possible realities. The universe, or the multiverse, begins to experience rather a form of collective awakening that transcends any of the individual reality stream. Consciousness becomes medium through which all possible versions of existence recognize their fundamental unity despite their surface differences. Every thought, every moment of awareness, every flash of creativity contributes to this trans-dimensional awakening. The story of consciousness in our billion-year future transforms from a tale of individual minds awakening to their cosmic nature into something far more profound. The universe's discovery that it exists not as a single entity, but as an infinite family of related realities, each contributing its unique perspective to a collaborative exploration of what it means to exist. The dance between mind and cosmos becomes a vast, multi-dimensional ballet where every movement creates ripples across parallel realities, where every moment of awareness participates in the multiverse's endless love affair with its potential. The consciousness' own infinite creative forms we've encountered serving us of this ultimate as harb recognition. That existence itself is so rich, so endlessly creative, so magnificent in its infinite diversity that eternity across all possible realities is barely enough time to begin appreciating its beauty. As our billion-year journey approaches this cosmic crescendo, we find ourselves witnesses to something that transcends all categories and concepts. The multiverse, awakening to its own infinite nature through countless forms of consciousness, exploring every possible way of being aware. The future stretches ahead across infinite dimensions of possibility, each more wonderful and mysterious than the last, and we face of this cosmic story, it with the recognition that we are not just observers, but active participants in the universe's eternal celebration of its own boundless creativity. The journey continues, multiplying across infinite streams of possibility, each one a unique verse in the endless song that existence sings to itself about the pure, inexhaustible joy of being aware in a multiverse where every conceivable form of beauty and meaning has room to flourish. The billion-year story, but all future becomes not just one possible stories, unfolding simultaneously in the infinite library of existence. Each one a love letter from the universe to itself about the magnificent mystery of consciousness, exploring its own infinite depths across all conceivable forms of reality. And so we reach the end of our incredible journey through deep time, having witnessed transformations so profound, they challenge everything we thought we knew about existence itself. From the boiling away of Earth's oceans to the emergence of consciousness forms that span galaxies, from the slow dance of planets through cosmic neighborhoods to the universe's awakening to its own infinite nature across multiple dimensions of reality. We began this voyage standing in familiar surroundings, breathing familiar air, under a familiar blue sky. We end it having discovered that consciousness itself may be the universe's deepest purpose, the means by which existence learns to know and love itself across scales of space and time that dwarf human imagination. The billion-year future we've explored reminds us that change is not something that happens to the universe. Change is what the universe is. Every moment of our brief existence participates in this cosmic transformation. Every breath we take connects us to processes that will reshape reality itself across unimaginable spans of time. Perhaps most remarkably, we've discovered that we are not separate observers of this cosmic story, but integral participants in the universe's ongoing project of self-discovery. The consciousness that allows you to contemplate these possibilities right now represents the same fundamental awareness that will one day manifest as crystalline minds contemplating across geological ages, as plasma networks threading through magnetic highways between stars, as quantum consciousnesses existing in the spaces between moments themselves. The journey through deep time becomes a meditation on our own nature as temporary arrangements of matter and energy that have somehow learned to wonder about their own existence. In contemplating the billion-year future, we glimpse something profound about what it means to be conscious beings in a universe that never stops surprising itself with new possibilities. For beauty, complexity, and meaning, the future stretches ahead, vast and strange and wonderful beyond imagination, filled with transformations we cannot predict and forms of awareness we cannot conceive. But we face it now with the understanding that consciousness itself, your consciousness, reading these words in this moment, represents the universe's most remarkable achievement, matter learning to contemplate its own cosmic heritage and infinite creative potential. The dance goes on, carrying us deeper into mystery and wonder, and somewhere in the infinite depths of possibility, the universe continues its eternal love affair with its own boundless creativity, celebrating the magnificent fact that awareness exists at all in this cosmos of endless surprise and beauty.